Hi, my name is Lindy Cowling. Welcome to this channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk, email info@lindycowling.co.uk. And the title of this video today is The 11th Hour, Don't Give Up. Now, this video is going to be divided into two parts, and those of you that have followed my channel for the last almost 4 years know how I work. I work very spontaneously, in the moment, very much from the heart, and I only share experientially, which means what I've experienced or am experienced personally and the experiences of my clients or the work I'm doing with my clients. So the video today will be divided into two parts. The first part of it will be almost like talking about what's going on this 11th hour scenario with people personally and collectively, globally. And the second part will be a series of soundings again. Now I'm smiling because I have to be a little bit brave to do this on camera, but sound is becoming significant for me, and I can see me going into that much more spontaneous sounding, releases stuck energetic patterns that sometimes analytical thinking or conventional therapeutic techniques don't get to. So I found it immensely transformative, and also I just am loving it. I'm just loving singing, and I'm kind of joined a chanting group, and when that comes to an end, or if that comes to an end, I'll probably go join a choir or something, probably like something actually like a gospel choir or something like that, because I like kind of belting it out and singing really moving kind of songs and linking into that kind of element. So that's just like a personal note, but I found it absolutely brilliant for moving energy. So why I'm dividing the video into two parts, it's not the video that I intended to bring out, and I'll probably go boom 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 straight after this and do another one or two videos while I'm in the zone for it. When I was in the shower this morning, I was like doing all this sounding to the number 11, and actually I could call it the 11th hour, 1111, don't give up. So it was coming to me that the sequences of numbers, the whole universe is structured on a sequence of numbers and patternings, and just as you can get zoned in or locked in a holding pattern into a sequence of numbers or patterning, so you can throw those locks open again through a series of numbers and patterning. So that'll be the second part of the video. So if you're not kind of into that or don't want to go down that route, and I have not got a clue what I'm going to do in that second part yet, I've no idea what's going to kind of into that kind of thing, then just listen to the first part of it. I only hesitated there because
the filming just locked up when I said a holding pattern. This is this spirit, and I've worked this way for years. If I was running a workshop or a group or something, or talking to a group of people, and I would just say something, and then the scenario around us would match what I was saying, like the music would switch on, the music would switch off, electrical things would respond accordingly, all that kind of thing. I mean, I've done that for years, but I just laughed there because I thought, why is it frozen? And it was just after I talked about a holding pattern, which means you're frozen, really, that the camera stopped. And I have no control over that, so that's quite funny. Okay, and often that happens just to emphasize a point. So the 11th hour, 1111, don't give up. I think many people are feeling like this at the moment, and this won't just be involved with twin flame union or soulmates or relationships, although of course that is at the heart of much of that feeling. It's for everybody, and people are pretty tired at the moment and pretty worn out of what has seemed a relentless process of change and transformation. Now, especially those that are at the forefront of it, that have been going through change and transformation for a number of years, they're pretty tired out. They feel like giving in, chucking everything in, and they can't see an end coming to it, really.
And it is true to say that globally, with this process of people becoming more conscious and opening up, globally, we are seeing almost like there has been like a pattern of a lot of grieving, or what people would call, they call it the dark night of the soul globally. Why? Because it's, you know, when people are waking up, it's time to face all that repressed stuff and that unconscious stuff, which is not comfortable. It's not comfortable doing it for this life, and it's not comfortable doing it on behalf of the other timelines or other lives, and it's certainly not comfortable doing it on behalf of your blood family or soul family. So a lot of people, especially the ones at the forefront of these awakenings, or that have been involved in an awakening process for a number of years now, are very, very tired out, and they just want to see it coming to an end. And you know, it reminds me a bit like that scene of Lord of the Rings, when in the final film where they're having the battle, and I think Frodo's almost there with the ring. He's about to, you know, drop it into the fire, and it's going to be okay. But the people on the battlefield don't know that. I mean, they've got everything crossed, but you can see in their eyes that they're thinking, oh God, we're not going to make it. And it seems like at that 11th hour, you know, that all is lost, you know, and they're feeling it. And they're tired out and thinking, oh God, it's, you know, this is it. And then suddenly, boom, it kind of shifts and it changes. And I think there's a lot of that going on. And that battle scene comes to me a lot. I mean, I think the Lord of the Rings films are fantastic, you know, as are the Harry Potter films as well. And immensely moving. And I love that. I love those final scenes there, you know, when they think all is lost, you know, and even Frodo and Sam think all is lost once they have drop the ring into the fire, and they're thinking they're going to die in the volcanic lava flow that follows, and in fact they don't. Oops, spoiler alert. I'm assuming that anyone that's watching this has at this point in time seen the Lord of the Rings films. If not, whoops. Anyway, it reminds me of that scene. So I know exactly what that's like to feel like that, and I've gone through loads of that kind of stuff in my life, and you know, I've had a lot of that again recently. There's been a few events that came out of left field that were totally surprising, that came out of left field, that were quite challenging. Equally, on the back end of that, there's been some amazing developments which are good. So it's almost like that polarization, you know, you can get something very extreme on one end and there's something very extreme on the other, you know, really good or really crap. That as a polarized world that's going on at the moment, and really it's a big clearing of polarized energy globally and for us individually. So stuff within us that's polarized, stuff in our families, like I say, blood family, soul family, that's polarized, stuff collectively that's polarized. All of that shenanigans is going on, and so we're dealing with that. So of course we take it personally when we're in the middle of something like that, and of course sometimes it sucks and it's very uncomfortable. So globally this kind of thing is going on. People are, and when I'm calling it don't give up, I'm saying really don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on that flicker of hope. Sometimes you can get to a point where you do feel like all hope is lost. And again, I'm going to track back to that Lord of the Rings battle at that 11th hour again, that 11th hour, the 11:11, where it just seems like, you know, you're too tired to continue, or it's hopeless anyway. I always say when you are backed into a corner, that's physically, metaphorically speaking, or actually physically speaking or energetically speaking, when you're backed into a corner, sometimes it's not because you're trapped there, or sometimes it's not because something went wrong. Sometimes it's because as a human species, most of us have to be almost like pushed to our limits before we actually make change. I mean, certainly the more polarized form of energy of us does, not so much those that are awakening here already very much conscious. I'm talking about the long way round through the old energy moving into new. Many of us, to make change and to really face our own stuff and to look inward, have to be really pushed in order to do that, almost like tricked into doing that really. And so it is true, when you're in that corner, you can't see anything but the corner. And that's an important point to make, because when you're in that state, you cannot really see the road ahead, because all you can see is the corner. So you've got your nose on the corner and you can just see that. And it's like a dead end. And it's like, where do I go from here? Well, there is nowhere to go from there when you're in the corner. Don't put baby in the corner. Don't put baby in the corner. There is nowhere to go from there, because you've got the nose on the corner, so you can't see anything. It's almost like you go a bit retrograde, step back a bit, turn around, and then look at the 360-degree view, which won't be the same as it was when you went into that corner. In other words, when you've backed yourself into that position, the only way out really is up. And I mean kind of up in vibration, up in circumstances, up in frequency. And like I say, don't beat yourself up for the position you find yourself in. Yeah, it's true, we all have a certain sense of responsibility for our own lives, but crikey, lots of things happen. It's not as clear cut as that. And, people will say, oh, you create your circumstances. Yes, totally true to a degree, but stuff still comes in, and we're largely unconscious humanity at the moment. There's a small percentage that are conscious. That's growing every day, every week, every month. So it's too linear to just say blah, 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 somebody's in that position because of this, someone's in that position because of that. There's almost like a judgmental thing to that, and you need to be careful there, because, like I say, most of us are human. I'm not going to say all of us are human. Most of us are human. We've all been there. We've all got ourselves into situations that we'd rather we hadn't got ourselves into. You can either let that finish you off, or you can decide to transform as a result of it. And you can, yes, it's true, you can have learning from any situation, but I'm not going to be blasé about that again, crikey. I'm talking, there's a whole world of situations, that people go through. I have great sorry, I can't even speak it. I was going to say I had great admiration, and it almost came out as great affirmation. That's a slip for you. I have great admiration for people that will not only have gone through immense difficulties personally and collectively, but that actually transform as a result of it. We do have a choice. We can either become very bitter and very twisted and locked in one of those holding patterns and full of resentment and start to stagnate, or we can decide to grow as a result of that experience and learn as a result of that experience and expand. And yes, we have to be careful again not to spiritually bypass and not accept the feelings that come up and how we feel. And it is true to say that even forgiving someone is not forgetting. If someone has really done you a lot of harm or a lot of damage, even if you can take the higher perspective on it, it's true that forgiving is not forgetting, and it's not even excusing that behavior, but it's really doing what is kind of like best for you, because your perception and your take on things is everything. You can either perceive something that is going to take you into immense suffering, or you can perceive it in a slightly lighter way as a thing of learning and expansion, and getting more comfort from it. And yes, we are, again, I'm going to say most of us are human, so be careful you don't suddenly spiritually bypass and go into la la land on it and not acknowledge how you're feeling, or let's say the reality of it. There's a big, I would say, movement culture within the light worker industry at the moment to do that, to kind of bypass things and not actually deal with the reality of them. And it's what that does in the long run is it delays the suffering. It's like saying somebody cuts their hand open, and then they're saying they haven't really cut their hand open. Let's pretend they haven't cut their hand open, and somewhere down the line, that hand is going to fester because it hasn't been kind of acknowledged or kind of not treated, but acknowledged and healed, really. So, it's a balance, isn't it? It's all about balance. It's a balancing act. So if you are someone watching this video and you just don't know where it's all going to end, I know exactly how you feel. I've been there countless times in my life, countless times at that point. And I know globally at this point in time, people, well, they are going through various different things. I mean, I've heard some amazing, just in the last 2 weeks in my own life, I've seen some and heard some really ghastly stuff, both personally and professionally, and some absolutely amazing stuff, really great stuff. So it's that combination of the two things, like I say, and globally at the moment, there's a lot of that going on. Big dramatic things for people. They're suddenly having significant illness or significant injury, or suddenly a significant shift after a period of time of being in a certain way or a certain mindset. And again, the bottom line is change. And unless you are a very adventurous human spirit that loves change, and that there aren't that many that do actually, regardless of the age range, change, especially when it's big change or across the board, is something that humans do tend to resist. And of course, we're going into a period of change now. It's been coming for a while, but that's going to increase, globally and personally. And I will get into that on another video. So what I'm really hoping is that this video brings you that flicker of hope. I think when you get yourself into a certain mindset, and again, I'm speaking personally and professionally, where all you can see is your nose in that corner and you just can't see any way out of that. It can be very kind of difficult, and you can feel very alone and isolated, like you're the only one like that, or that you've done something wrong, that you're a bad person, that you're not enough, that you're the only one experiencing like that. And I'm hoping that this video reassures you that you're not, and this is a global phenomena. I mean, it's always been going on in human and humanity, in humankind. But at this point at the time, this is a lot of people feeling that way. And I'm hoping in a way that gives you some comfort, that that it's not just you, and that you also know and have a flicker of hope and belief that things can change. Now, I'm not encouraging, again, this is all about balance. I'm not encouraging you then to almost like, there's a balancing act here between deluding yourself, but also believing that anything's possible. It's a balance here. I fully know anything's possible. Some of the things I've seen in my life up to now, I don't think you'd even believe, actually. And some of the extreme experiences I've had in my life up to now, you probably wouldn't even believe. You'd wonder how I was sitting here, really. It's a life that we've been experiencing on this planet so far of polarization and experience. And what I will say is anything can change in a moment. When you get yourself into that mindset, especially if you've been sad for a long time, or isolated, or lonely, or cut off, or very badly treated, or been going through a big transformation, that means a lot of people have come away from you and you've come away from a lot of people, and you are in that corner with your nose on that wall, and all you can see is the wall. You almost have to really at that point have a little faith. So I'm going to break into the George Michael song. Yeah, we gotta have faith. That one. You have got to have a little faith. You've got to have a little faith and a belief and a little spark of hope that there is a way out of Dodge. There's a way of getting the hell out of here. Now, when I say that, I'm representing how you feel when you're like that, and how I feel when I've been like that. And of course, I know we kick and scream and resist it. I'm the world's worst at going, no, when I don't like something, kicking and screaming. My goodness, I've learned the hard way on that one. I've fought it all the way along. I know what that's like, but it's almost like you have to have a belief, a real belief and a spark of hope that things are going to change and anything's possible. And you can be feeling a lot better than you're feeling now, and things can get better regardless of your circumstances. I'm talking about a whole range of circumstances here. It could be anything and everything, not just relationship, not just about twin flames and soulmates. talking about all circumstances here. It could be other things. It could be everything for you. I'm not going to go down the blasé thing of everything happens for a reason. What I'm going to say is you can navigate through whatever process you're in, and you can either take the high road or the low road. It takes me right back to a video I did about 3 years ago on that, the high road or the low road. And I've come a long way since then, so my perspective and perception on that has changed significantly since that video. But your perception on everything and anything can either help it be less suffering or more suffering, whatever it is. Illness, loss, relationship, home, finances, job, right across the board. The way you see it and feel about it and perceive it is going to dictate how much suffering you feel. And you cannot bypass suffering. You can't bypass your emotions, and you can't bypass like grief. But you can navigate it through slightly easier by your mindset and how you kind of feel, and kind of being honest with yourself, really true to yourself and authentic with yourself. So I hope that helps. I'm going to go on to the next bit of the video now, which I have not got a clue what that's going to be like. And I not dread it, but I'm a little bit nervous because it's quite, I just have to go with it. I'm not in my comfort zone at the moment doing the singing like this, on camera like this anyway, but I'm going to go into the second part of it now. So this is going to stop at about 22 minutes. So if you want to go now, thank you for watching and resonating, and I love you and leave you. And if you want to stick with me, I'll go on to the next bit. So in alignment with what I was just talking about, suffering, being stuck, holding patterns, this applies to illness, chronic illness that has been held in the body, chronic thought patterns that are being held in the body, chronic belief systems. I'm going to call them chronic belief systems. Chronic anything that has been in a long, slow holding pattern that you want transformation for. You can literally sound this out to the frequency of 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, or you can almost do a mantra before it and say like, I release blah, blah, blah. It might be an illness. I release blah, blah, blah. It might be a situation. I release the negativity associated with blah, blah, blah. You can apply anything to it that is resonating in your particular vibrational field and vibrational energy according to the frequency 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. So I'm going to go into this bit now. I am slightly uncomfortable with it, I have to say, because I haven't got a clue what's going to happen here, but hey. So I might close my eyes for some of this. And what I would suggest you do is when you do this, be sitting comfortably at home, sitting or, well, not laying down. You probably wouldn't be able to chant it in the same way, but sitting or lying down, wherever you're most comfortable. And at the beginning of it, you can almost put the intent out in your head or out loud what you want it to free up in terms of energy. So first of all, I'm going to put the call out to my guide team, my higher self, my guide team, please, to be closely around me. And I also invite you to do the same. Ask your guide team or your angels or your higher self to be engaged in this. And this intent is for the release of holding pattern energies. This could apply to chronic illness, chronic sickness, chronic situations that don't seem to be resolving, stuck energy, polarized stuck energy, that kind of thing. And I call this out on the vibration 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Right, so I'm going to start this now. Like I say, bear with me. Now, as I'm doing this, you can either sound it along with me. You can maybe listen to it once. If you don't like it, just hit the off button. You might want to keep playing it and sounding it out. I don't get the feeling it should just be done once. I was doing this in the shower for about 20 minutes this morning, a very long shower. I will probably do it as and when I feel I need to do it. I could see me doing it for a few days yet. So just go by your gut feeling and your own instinct and intuition on that. Okay. So I'm just creating that sacred space around you, that energetic space. You can actually see or feel yourself in a bubble of light or a bubble of energy. Okay. And it's not so much really what I am saying here. I'm not really going to be saying anything, I don't think, except 11. It's the sound that's unlocking that patterning. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, I put out the intent and the call that all people listening to this portion of the video release all chronic ill holding patterns to the frequency of 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. All chronic patterns of thought, illness, sickness, all chronic patterns of lack, all chronic belief patterns that are holding them in a static pattern of suffering. I put out the intent that there is a release for their highest outcome. This be on behalf of their highest outcome. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, Okay, so I'm inviting in the energy of the crystalline dolphin beings now. Dolphin beings, the crystalline whales, the crystalline sea beings. This is a crystalline vibration in accordance with the Lemurian and Atlantis frequencies. May invite and work with the crystalline Lemurian and Atlantean energies that are part of our collective consciousness and collective souls. May I ask for their assistance in the releasing of the suffering of Mother Earth and the releasing of the suffering in us as individuals and the collective. Hey mama, hey mama, hey, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, oh, hey, hey mama, oh, hey mama, oh, mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, oh, hey, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, oh, hey, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey, hey mama, mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, hey mama, oh, hey. Hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Alinasi, Aninasi, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Aninasi, Aninasi, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Aninasi, Aninasi, 11, 11, 11, 11. Aninasi, Aninasi, 11, 11, 11, 11. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. I ask on all levels of our consciousness for the millions that are stuck in patterns, that are holding patterns of suffering, illness, grief, pain, chronic belief systems, chronic illness, chronic lack, chronic circumstances, that they be alleviated by their highest outcome with the cooperation of their higher selves to release these patterns in order that they can find their way back home to their authentic and true selves. 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. Hey mama, oh, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, oh. On all levels of our soul and being, may we be assisted, if it is for our highest outcome, our highest good, assisted to be free from these holding patterns, these chronic holding patterns, whatever they are. May we be assisted by the sounding, the words, the frequencies, and the vibration, to be free from whatever these patterns are. Free to continue on our journeys to our authentic, conscious selves. I thank all the energies that have worked with me today and all aspects of my own soul that have worked with me, shamanically, the dolphin energies, the crystalline energies, the Atlantean, Lemurian energies, the old soul energies, the new soul energies, the whole combined package. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for working with me today. And I hope that all of you that participated in this part of the transmission receive some benefit from it. It is up to you if you listen to this once or if you listen to it a few times and repeat the soundings. And I hope sincerely from the bottom of my heart that it does offer you some assistance. On that note, I will love you and leave you. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for contributing to this channel in all ways and every way that you do. And I will see you on camera again soon. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.